Well, hello. Welcome to GLBC Connections, and we continue our journey through the Gospel of Mark. But before we dive into it, I just want you to know that we're having our Christmas Eve gathering online, and so we'll have a live streamed service at 7 p.m. on Christmas Eve. And we even have candles here at the building that you can pick up to use for your own candle lighting when we sing Silent Night together. What would Christmas Eve be like if we didn't have the opportunity to have a little hot wax melted onto our hand during the Christmas Eve service? So anyways, it's good for you and an opportunity for you to practice burn care for your kids. But anyways, maybe not. So either way, we hope you participate in the Christmas Eve service online, and then that you invite others too. We think it'll be a good time of just reflecting on the coming of Christ. So we're looking at Mark chapter 5, verse 21 through 43 today, and as we walk into this passage, we just get a clear understanding from Mark that Jesus is sufficient to meet the needs we have. And so there are two beautiful stories here, and Mark uses a technique called the sandwich, and so he starts an account of a man whose daughter is dying, and he moves towards Jesus to ask for help, and then he interrupts the story, almost sets a little tension, a little, whoa, what's going to happen? He interrupts the story with a woman who has an internal bleeding issue for many years and is unable to solve her problem. She exhausts her funds on doctors, and so she's destitute. She's technically, in a Jewish sense, unclean, an outsider, and she is poor, and she has this bleeding problem. And so both of them have significant need, and Mark wants us to see that Jesus is sufficient to meet our needs, whatever they are, as we come to him in faith. It's a good thing today as we look at this passage, as we think about these moments, these historical moments in the gospel, that we move towards Jesus in faith and trust and refuge. So we all have heat in our life. We all have situations in our life, and how we respond in those moments reflect what we believe is true. And so whether we believe we can handle our situations, or whether we believe Jesus Christ can handle our situations, whether we think we can negotiate and figure things out and handle our own troubles, or whether we can trust in Jesus, or whether we can alleviate our own pain by escape whatever it is, or whether we can go to Jesus Christ with these painful moments and trust in him that he is sufficient. It's just really important that as you transact with God today, as you move to him in prayer, that you give him these things, and that you align your heart, your mind, your thinking to see that Jesus is sufficient. So we have two stories here in the Gospel of Mark chapter 5. And we have a man whose daughter's dying, and he comes to Jesus, and he falls on his knees, and he pleads with Jesus to heal him, and so Jesus goes with him, and so then the story is interrupted, and this woman secretly, because of fear, walks up behind Jesus and touches his clothing. And so there's this comical scene where Jesus is in a crowd, and there's people all around, and it's like being at in a crowded concert, maybe, where people are bumping into you all over the place, and Jesus says, "Who touched me?" And the disciples were like, "Well, Jesus, everybody's touching you." And then he looks around and to see who does it, and then he says this, as he asks around, this woman comes and falls at his feet. Notice that theme is twice in the passage. The man whose daughter is dying falls at Jesus' feet, and then this woman falls at Jesus' feet, and trembling with fear, told him the whole truth. He said to her, Jesus speaks to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." And so it's not her faith that does it. It sounds like Jesus is saying it's her faith, but really it's the power of Jesus goes out from him. He is the source of power, and it is in convergence with her faith, her moving towards Jesus where he is sufficient to meet her need. And then so he's talking, and this moment unfolds, and then we forget there's a little girl dying. And it says this: while Jesus was still speaking, some people came to the house, from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. "Your daughter is dead." I can't imagine. I can't imagine the grief, and it's just outside my framework of pain and suffering. And I know many of you do feel this kind of deep pain. And they say, why bother the teacher anymore? Why bother this guy? If he's just a teacher, why bother bugging him? And overhearing, this is great, Jesus told him, "Don't be afraid, just believe." Right? So Jesus tells him, "Don't be afraid." In that moment, that, it seems impossible. It seems like an incredible thing to say, but Jesus knows that he is sufficient and he can handle all things. And so he goes with them, and there's this beautiful moment in their house. It's Jesus, the mom and dad, the little girl who is dead, and the disciples, and he takes her by the hand and he says, "Little girl, I say, get up." And immediately the girl stood up and began to walk around. And at this, they were completely astonished. Isn't that great? A wonderful story. Beautiful moment that displays the power of Jesus. And so what will you do with the situations in your life today? I just want to encourage you to go to Jesus. Move his way. Speak to him. Call on him. Fall at his feet. And trust him in faith. He may not answer the way you want, but he is sufficient, and he will work in your life for his glory. So God bless you today as you walk through your day. Keep trusting, keep moving in faith towards Christ. He is so faithful in all things.